sir. Our topic is all about the constitutions of Macapagal and Marcos Sr. So first, let us talk about the life of Justados Pangan Macapagal. So he is born on September 28, 1910, and he died on April 21, 1997. So he was the ninth president of the Philippines, serving from 1961 to 1965. And he is the sixth study at University of the Philippines and University of Santo Tomas. So after he worked as the lawyer for the government, he first won elections in 1949 to the House of Representatives, representing a district in his home province of Pampanga. In 1957, he became vice president in the administrations. So as president, Macapagal worked to suppress graft and corruptions to stimulate a Philippines economy. So he introduced the country's first the land reform law, placed the peso on the free currency exchange market. And during the Marcos administrations, Macapagal was elected president on the Constitutional Conventions, which will be later dropped but became in the 1973. So the constitutions, through the manner in which the character was ratified and modified, led him to later questions of legitimacy. Macapagal excelled in his studies at local public schools, graduating. So, nag-aral siya sa Lubao Elementary School at isa siya sa naging valedictorian. Then, he studies at Pampanga High Schools. So, isa naman din siya sa naging salutatorian. Then, he finished his pre-law course at the University of the Philippines. Then, he enrolled at Philippine Law Schools on 1932, studying on the scholarship and supporting himself with a particular job as the accountant. While in law schools, he gained prominence as the orator and debater. So habang nag-aaral po siya sa Philippine Law Schools noong 1932, isa siya sa naging scholarship ng paaralan at kung saan nagtrabaho siya bilang accountant para masuporta ng kanyang pag-aaral sa. However, he was forced to quit schooling after 2 years. So, si Macapagal Arroyo is naisipan niya ng tumigil sa pag-aaral dahil sa nagkaroon siya ng sakit at dahil sa kahirapan.
He joined boyhood friend Rogelio de la Rosa in producing the starting in Tagalog operettas patterned after classic Spanish zarzuela. It's during this period that he married his friend's sister, Purita de la Rosa. He had 2 children with de la Rosa, Celio and Arturo. So actually, Macapagal is, naging asawa ni Macapagal is yung kapatid ng boyhood friend niya na si Rogelio de la Rosa, na ang pangalan ng kanyang asawa is si Purita de la Rosa. So, meron silang 2 anak, si Celo and si Arturo. So, Macapagal raised enough money to continue his study at the University of Santo Tomas. He also gained the Assistant of Philanthropy, Honorary Ventura, the Secretary of Interior at the time, who financed his education. After receiving his Bachelor of Law degree in 1936, he was admitted to the bar topping the 1936 bar examination with a score of 89.95%. So actually, Macapagal passed the examination with a result of 89.95%. After passing the bar examination, Macapagal was invited to join an American law firm as a participating attorney, a particular honor for a Filipino at the time. He was assigned as a legal assistant to the President Manuel L. Quezon in Malacañang Palace during the Japanese occupation of the Philippines. In World War II, Macapagal continued working in Malacañang Palaces as in 1943, Macapagal lost his first wife, Purita de la Rosa, to malnutrition due to the deprivation of the war. In 1946, he married Evangelina Macaraig, with whom he had two children, Gloria and Justado Jr. So actually, namatay si Purita de la Rosa dahil sa malnutrition, and nagkaroon naman ulit siya ng asawa, si Evangelina Macaraig. So nagkaroon ulit siya ng dalawang anak, si Gloria and si Justado Jr. Mga ilang na isa katuparang programa ni Pangulong Macapagal ay ang mga sumusunod. Pag-alis ng reatraksyon sa pag-angkat ng produkto, pagpapalawig sa malayang kalatan, paglakas ng piso sa dolyar, pagsulong at pagsasabatas ng Agricultural Land Reform Code of 1963, paglipat ng petsa ng pagdiriwang ng Araw ng Kalayaan mula Hulyo 4 at mula Hunyo 12. Pagpapaganda ng luneta. So, meron naman tayo ditong iba't ibang programa ni Pangulong Macapagal. Number 1 is ang pagtatag ng Fishery Commission. So, Fishery Commission, ito ay ang pangangasiwa at pagpapataguyod ng mga sa pangangisda upang makatulong sa ekonomiya ng bansa. Pangalawa is ang pagsasabatas ng Batas Republika bilang 3844 o Agricultural Land Reform Code of 1963. So dito naman is Agricultural Land Reform Code of 1963 is ang pagbuwag sa pangungupahan ng mga magsasaka sa mga magsasaka na may mga ari ng lupang sakahan. Para pangalawa is ang pagsasabatas ng Batas Republika bilang 3844 o Agricultural Land Reform Code of 1963. So dito pagsasabatas ng Batas Republika bilang 3844 or Agricultural Land Reform Code of 1963. So dito is ang pagbuwag ng pangungupahan ng isang magsasaka sa may mga may-ari ng lupang sakahan, pagtatag ng Landmark of the Philippines upang matulungan ang magsasaka na makabili ng sarili nilang lupain. Sa pangatlo naman is ang pag-ayanda ng minimum wage of law. So dito naman is ang pagtatakda ng sweldo hindi bababa sa 6 na piso kada araw para sa mga manggagawa. So pang-apat is ang pagpapalipat ng selebrasyon ng Araw ng Kalayaan. So dito ay inilipat ang Araw ng Kalayaan sa Hunyo 12. So yun. Panglima is ang pagpapatupad ng Batas Republika bilang 3466 or Emergency Employment Act of 1962. So dito pa is ang pagpapatupad ng Batas Republika bilang 3466 o Emergency Employment Act of 1962. So dito naman is ang pagbibigay ng trabaho sa mamamayan sa mga pampublikong proyekto, pangkaunlaran at may tatag ang Emergency Employment Administration or ang pangangasiwa nito. So ang susunod naman is ang pagtatag ng National Cottage Industries Deployment Authority. The National Cottage Industries Development Authority.
Accomplishment. Agricultural Land Reform Code. One of Justado Macapagal's greatest achievement. He instituted a public land clearance program to make a new farmland available for immediate goal to establish owner, cultivatorship, and economic family-size farm as the basis of Philippine agriculture, and as a consequence divert landlord capital and agriculture to industrial development to create a truly valuable social and economic structure, and agriculture conducive to greater productivity and higher farm incomes. To provide a more vigorous and systematic land resettlement program and public land distribution, change the traditional share tenancy to leasehold system. The tenant would give 25% of their harvest as payment. Emergency Employment Administration. It was patterned after a similar employment program of United States President Franklin D. Roosevelt during America's Great Depression and in the 1930s. Purpose: state on Section 2 would say it hereby declared to be the continuing policy and responsibility of the state to utilize every possible means to create maximum employment opportunities for all who are able, willing, and seeking to work but cannot find employment, thus increasing mass purchasing power, developing income in rural areas, and stimulating economic activity in general.
What this law basically does is to create and offer job opportunities to Filipinos who are seeking or in need of employment. Philippine industry, the law abolished shared tenancy on rice and corn farmlands and established a leasehold system in which farmers paid fixed rentals to landlords rather than a percentage of the harvest. Sabah, during President Diosdado Macapagal administration, the Philippines formally claimed Sabah based on the Sultanate of Sulu, his claim of the territory. Mapilindo, an organization composed of Southeast Asian countries, particularly the Malaysia, Philippines, and Indonesia. Purpose: to boost our country trade with our neighbors. The organization also have way to the making of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or better known as ASEAN. Independence Day. From 1946 to 1962, Philippine independence was celebrated on July 4. It was President Diosdado Macapagal who issued Proclamation Number 28, 1962, moving the commemoration of Independence Day to June 12. The date independence from Spain was proclaimed in Emilio Aguinaldo's home in Kawit, Cavite. July 4 is now the Philippine-American Friendship Day. President Macapagal was particularly proud of restoring Philippine Independence Day to June 12 and was congratulated at the palace by President Aguinaldo.
The Constitution of Macapagal and Sr.Marcos. Diosdado Pangan Macapagal. Born on September 28, 1910, died on April 21, 1997, was the ninth President of the Philippines, serving from 1961 to 1965, and the next Vice President serving from 1957 to 1961. He also served as a member of the House of Representatives and heading from Constitutional Convention of 1970. He is the father of Gloria Macapagal who served as the 14th President of the Philippines from 2001 to 2008. Macapagal graduated from the University of the Philippines and University of Santo Tomas. After he worked as a lawyer for the government, he first won election in 1949 to the House of Representatives, representing a district in his home province of Pampanga. In 1957, he became vice president in the administration.
Thank you, Mr. Bren Luminario. So, I am Monica Molines and this is the continuation of his report. So, Marcos announced the end of martial law in January 1981. But he continued to rule in an authoritarian fashion under various constitutional formats. He won the election to the newly created post of presidents against token opposition in 1981. Marcos' wife from 1954, Imelda Romualdez Marcos, a former beauty queen, Imelda became a powerful figure after the institution of martial law in 1972. She was often criticized for her appointments of relatives to lucrative governmental and industrial positions, while she held the post of Governor of Metropolitan Manila 1975 to 1986 and Minister Human Settlements and Ecology 1979 to 1986. Marcos' later years in power were marred by rampant government corruption, economic stagnation, the steady widening of economic inequalities between rich and poor, and, and the steady growth of a communist guerrilla insurgency active in the rural areas of the Philippines, innumerable islands. By 1983, Marcos' health was beginning to fail, and opposition to his rule was growing. Hoping to present an alternative to both Marcos and the increasing powerful New People's Army, Benigno Aquino Jr. returned to Manila on August 21, 1983, only to be shot dead as he stepped off the airplane. The assassination was seen as the work of the government and touch of massive anti-government protest. An independent commission appointed by Marcos concluded in 1984. To assert his mandate, Marcos called for presidential election to be held in 1986, but a formidable political opponent soon emerged in Aquino's widow, Corazon Aquino, who became the presidential candidate of the opposition. It was widely asserted that Marcos managed to defeat Aquino and retain the presidency in the election of February 17, 1986, only through massive voting fraud on the part of his supporters. Deeply discredited at home and abroad by his dubious electoral victory, Marcos held fast to his presidency as the Philippine military split between supporters of his and of Aquino's legitimate right to the presidency. A tense standoff that ensued between the two sides ended only when Marcos fled the country on February 25, 1986 at U.S. urging. He went into exile in Hawaii where he remained until his death. Evidence emerged that during his years in power, Marcos, his family, and his close associates had located the Philippines' economy of billions of dollars through embezzlements and other corrupt practices. Marcos and his wife were subsequently indicted by the U.S. government on racketeering charges, but in 1990, after Marcos' death, Imelda was acquitted of all charges by a federal court. She was allowed to return to the Philippines in 1991, and in 1993, a Philippine court found her guilty of corruption. The conviction was overturned in 1998.